All right, since we're kind of short on time here, guys, I've already went in and made a Phoenix set from the original set, and I've showed most of you what happens when the set is twisted up. When iRacing gives you this advanced set, and you get in there, and it's got a negative number on the link slack. What happens when this number right here on the link slack and this preload number is at a negative? That means this chassis is twisted up and it's never going to roll through the center. So we've already changed this. So I'll go over what I've done here. You'll notice that my front ballast on the set that we start out with is going to be probably in the 20s. I've got this front ballast set all the way back to 0. 2 reasons: short tracks, flat tracks. Remember I told you yesterday the most important thing for short tracks and flat tracks is roll in the center and bite off. So you want all that weight to the back if you can. Sometimes there's going to be chances where it's just not feasible. Flat tracks like Milwaukee, sometimes you're going to be 5-7 inches of nose weight because you need that nose weight through that real long arcing corner. But corners like this one, especially corner 2 here at Phoenix, you put this back because coming out of that hole at Phoenix in turn 1 and 2, that it's going to upset the rear end of the car. So putting this weight on the back end of the car is going to do 2 things. It's going to keep it from getting upset coming off of that corner, and it's going to give you bite off. Now that bite off is very important on these flat and short tracks. You've got to have that drive, because if you don't, you're just spinning the tires, you're going to get run over. All right, now if you'll notice here, I've got both front ends set at 550. That's as low as this thing can go. That's got that front end planted. I've got my rear end as high as it can go. More important here and at short tracks than anything, getting that spoiler in the air, because speed is not what you're after here. You're not going to be in the straightaways long enough to care about speed. The speed you're going to need is going through the center of the corner and getting off the corner. So there's where having that spoiler in there, giving you stability on and off. Now right down at the bottom with a short track, 9 times out of 10, these track bars are going to be low. Okay, there's 7.5, 8.5 left and right is a good left turn. About an inch is where I usually stay. Now this will get adjusted. This one right here is the one that Si liked, because he didn't like his to come off the corner just as much as Cosper did when I got Charles over here and let him run it. Charles likes a little bit more turn. So his was an 8 3/4, 8.750. So all that is driver preference. The rear end's the same thing here as it is everywhere else. A positive number close to 0 keeps the rear end neutral and gives you that free roll, just like this preload in the link slack gives you that free roll through the center of the corners. The main thing about short tracks and flat tracks especially is rolling the center of the corner. That is where a lot of people that build setups for these cars will always miss. They try to get this thing to come off the corner as fast as they can get it. Well, if you can come off the corner just at 3/4 throttle, but you're already at a 1/4 throttle before they are in the center of the corner, you're going to start running over them through the middle. That's where you're going to beat them at. And if you're faster than they are in the center, it stands to reason you're going to be quicker than they are coming off. Everybody still with me?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, the most important thing about, especially like Phoenix here, is I'm going to turn a couple of laps. Phoenix is a very tricky little track, just for the simple fact is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 come at you really quick, and both of them are totally different. So now you've got to drive Phoenix totally different twice with very little break in between. Because there's no time to think on the straightaway, say, okay, I'm going into 1, I got to do it this way. I'm going into 3, I got to do it this way. So that's why this track, a lot of people don't like this racetrack, because if you're not careful, this thing will get you twisted up quick. All right, I've got the setup to where you guys seen what it was like, and that's a coil bound set with those front springs being soft. Okay, and I had both front springs the same, which is keeping what we've done on the telemetry here is keeping that front end planted. All right, I'm gonna get out here now. There you go, stay on the floor. All right, Getting out here, other than like Texas, Charlotte, tracks like that, when you're racing those tracks, you've got a lot of room to make a little bit of mistake. Okay, you've got some room to get on the, maybe overdrive the corner a little bit. You can make up for it because the corners are longer, the corners are banked. They're all helping you stay in that one spot. Here, you've got to find that braking point, get on it, and wait on it. Keep it. And then get on it coming out of that hole. You see that little lift right there? That'll upset a car quick if you're not careful. And getting on it on a flat corner, you have to get on it, or get on that brake sooner. Now here at Phoenix, you're going to want to get to here, and we're in the B car, so we can drive just a tad deeper where that shadow is. Stop. Now when you get it down here to the bottom, you can wait just a hair and time it to where when you get to that bottom line, you're coming off of 2 to where you're straight. And right there, you want to get into that brake and then let it roll. Flat corners, the worst thing you can do on a flat corner is be too aggressive on that throttle. Let that thing drift, because you want to get. Now right there, you can let it roll. See, now right there through the center of the corner, especially in 1 and 2 here at Phoenix, in the center of the corner here, you are really going to beat people up right there, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to overdrive 1 because there's a little bank in there. And they will go, trust me, when you get into the races next week, when this track coming up, watch people go into this turn right here. And if you can get out of it right here and keep it right here, you can start getting into that throttle and slide right up underneath them, because they're going to come up too soon. That's all there is to driving these short and these flat tracks, is being very patient on the throttle. And listen, hang on a minute, let me get into it. All right, I'm gonna hush here a minute. I want you to listen to the throttle pedal, and I'm working it the same way I am the wheel. I'll do it again in 3 and 4. The wheel is constantly moving. I'm just adjusting, just minor adjustments. Same way with the throttle. That's the driving part of Phoenix. Now, one thing I'll tell you is when you're working on these setups, one of the most important things to do is not to drive these setups to get hot laps. A big problem I have, or that I see a lot of people do, is they get frustrated because they're 10th on the speed chart, or they're 15th on the speed chart, and it really doesn't matter. What number you are on that speed chart, it just really does not matter. All that is ego. You've got to let that go. Don't worry about where you are on the speed chart. Worry about how the car's handling. If you're 10th on the speed chart, and that car feels just really good to you, and it is constant and stable, you may be 10th on that speed chart, but I'll guarantee you somewhere along the line you're going to get in a race, and people are going to wonder why they're not running as good as you are. It's because they were running that 2/10 of a lap faster than you were at the start, and they're a half a second slower than you 10 laps later. So all you got to do is get that thing stable. Now on the short track, you'll notice that my tire pressures are a little lower, and the reason why I've got them lower than we do like at the speedways, because we don't, like I said, we're not looking for speed, we're looking for side bite. That's why we're down here in the 50s. Matter of fact, these probably could be a little bit lower if I really wanted to get into it. I may get down into about 49 to a 47 on the right rear, just to give me some more side bite right there through the middle of 1 and 2. And I have found that during a lot of our sessions that lowering these left side tire pressures is really helping over the long run. Kind of keep that in your head when you're doing those 20, 25 lap runs. Look and see, make sure that you're not starting to get too loose, or it's not starting to feel a little funny on you. If it is, lower these left side tire pressures. Because what's happening is when you get about 25 laps to run and the fuel's going down, you're losing grip on those left sides, because now you're riding on balloons after putting that much heat into it. Don't be afraid to drop those tire pressures down. Just because iRacing gives you one that has 38 on the lefts and 61 on the rights, that doesn't mean you have to be within 15 pounds of it. They may be just doing that to keep people that have never driven it able to doing it from spinning out. So the biggest thing about short track setups 9 times out of 10, even with the A car, if the thing's smooth, let me put this back on. If the thing is smooth, if the track's smooth enough, even with the with the A car, you're going to want to put these front springs down. You're going to want to have smaller front springs than you do rear springs. That's the biggest part of this race car right here is that 350, that 325, which you can have two 350s or two 325s. I'll tell you one thing, if the thing's not turning on you a lot, you can drop this 325 on the left to a 300 and have a 50-pound split. And 9 times out of 10, that thing's going to turn around with you on going in. That's a big adjustment. 25 pounds on a coil-bound setup is a big adjustment. So most of the time, you're going to want to start adjusting shocks. All right. Now, while we're doing this, I'll go into these shocks just for a little bit. When I had Charles drive this setup, and I had him do it on purpose because I wanted somebody else to drive it. When Charles was driving this setup, before I made these shock changes, he said the setup feels good. Well, Charles, tell him, what did you say the setup felt like before I changed it?
I said it felt good, but it needed more turn in the center, more rotation, and so I could roll in the center better.
All right. And the only thing I've done to fix that was I brought the rear rebounds up, which what that does, when you're going in the center, iRacing gives you shocks that are 0.32, 32.0. And they do that just because it's easy for them to do. All they're making is a baseline setup for you to get out there and play. It's nothing to be competitive with. All right. So all I done was brought both rear rebounds up. Remember I told you yesterday we want to keep that rear end as symmetrical as possible, where both the sides of the rear end is staying as much as possible together. They're working together. So the shocks more than anything else in a combination will work better on this race car. All right, the A car, the B car. Just making one shock change, just bringing this right rear rebound up right here and doing nothing else is not going to affect the car much. Because Charles told me, he said he's made shock adjustments and he couldn't tell if it made a change to the car. Well, the reason why that is, you're only changing one thing. Shocks work together with the springs. The shocks work in a concert with each other. Okay, the shocks are a package. You've heard NASCAR drivers or crew chiefs, Chad Canals, they talk about their shock package or their spring package. What that means is not just one spring or two springs. That means the whole springs and the shocks are now a package. They're all working together in unison. So it's a combination of what you need to figure out, the combination of what shocks do together to make it act through the whole part of the corner. So the only thing I changed in this, I changed nothing major. Everything stayed the same. When I done this, I added 5 rebound on both rears, which all that does is jack the rear up, plants the front end down, which will help turn the corner. And then the left front tire, as you know, is the least working tire on the whole car because of the weight transfer. So what I done was bring the left bump to keep that right front planted. Okay, that stiffened up that left front shock just a little, left front spring just a little bit to keep that left front planted on the ground a little bit to help it turn, and then brought the rebound down 1 click. What that done was made that left front tire work in just this corner right here. Okay, that's all we're working on is this corner of the car. Now what that done, that one up on the bump, when you bring that bump up, it stiffens up that left front spring just a hair. Well, what that does is keep that left front tire planted. Well, the rebound, when it hits a bump, it brings it back up quicker or slower. By slowing down that rebound, when it goes into there and that weight wants to bring it brings it up slower. So it lets it stay on the ground longer through the center of the corner. See what I'm saying? So now what we've done is just changed that minor shock, 5 on both rebounds to plant the nose, because those rear rebounds help the car come up when the weight shifts. Okay, it makes it slower to come back down because the rear rebounds work opposite as the front rebounds. So when we go in and the weight shifts, those rear rebounds coming up now makes it take longer to set the rear end down when the weight starts shifting. Okay? Now, when the left front corner here, the only thing we worked on was make that a little bit stiffer so that that left front stays planted a little longer and then takes a little longer to come back up with a softer rebound. And how did it make the car feel, Charles?
Oh, it made a world of difference. It went from being, I thought, snug to really we had to take a little bit out of it to tighten it back up. I've been racing a while and I haven't felt shock changes like that, but like he's saying, I make one change and I'll try it. I don't ever adjust them in a package. So that helped a bunch.
And what he's saying, but we had to back up. When I made those changes, I changed both rebounds to a 5. I put the front bump to a 2 and put the front rebound to a 30. Said, okay, Charles, go try that. First time he went into turn 1, thing almost turned around on him in the center. So I said, okay, drive it, let's get the air pressures up, see what it feels like. He drove it 5 or 6 laps, stopped it, said it's just a little too loose in the center. So all I done was backed it up. I brought that left front tire up off the ground just a hair quicker with a 1 bump and a 31 rebound. Went back out, right through the center it went. So just these minor changes, but it's these minor changes in connection with each other. Now this right front rebound, if he was over rotating, because I asked him if he was, and he said no, the thing's just perfect coming off the tail end of the exit. There's 2 things you can do at the tail end of the exit that will help. Like I asked you, I talked to you last night. If you ever get that thing where when right at the tail end of the exit, that tail end wants to flip out on you, that's left rear rebound or right front rebound. Left rear rebound is the biggest reason that thing's popping out on you. Okay, but if you don't have any, or if you got real low left rear rebound, because you're going to need some to keep that nose planted, you can bring this right front shock rebound down 1 or 2 clicks. That's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to keep that nose down just a little bit longer, which will help you in the entry and center of the corners. And when you're coming off the corner, it's going to flatten out your exit. What I mean by that is when the car is rotating left, that rebound is picking up that right front end and turning you left. Okay? With bringing that rebound down, what that does, instead of turning you left, as it comes out of that corner, it's flattening out some and stopping turning you left just a little bit. So now you're turning left, but it's turning left at a more gradual pace, which is what you're after, because right at the tail end of that exit, it's just rotating too much too fast. So slow that rotation down with the right front rebound, left rear rebound. Got me?
That's good.
Am I going too fast?
I got a question.
Go for it.
If you want to keep that left front on the ground, are you saying not to use spring rates, but to stiffen the front to do that?
Not necessarily. It really all depends on how the car feels. If Charles would have told me, man, this thing will not turn in the corner. It is just, this thing is just sliding the nose in the corner. First thing I'd have done was drop that left front spring.
Okay, one follow-up question.
Go for it.
If I want to keep the left front on the track, which way do I go with the spring pressure, up or down?
All depends on the track a lot. If you're on a flat track, that the banking's not going away from you, a lot of times you'll want to go up. Okay, and I know it sounds almost, tail backwards here. Boy, I almost said something stupid.
Well, this is a question I have. On some of the setups I have that have gone really fast,
Right.
I've gone really extreme on the left front spring.
Right. You talk about hillbilly in the front end.
Okay.
Okay. What I mean by that is that's really a kind of, I don't know if Cosper's real life guys use that term or not.
Oh yeah.
Hillbilly in the front end. I know it's a southeastern thing. Hickory Motor Speedway is where I learned that. Hillbilly in the front end, what that means is a conventional front end is a little bit higher right front spring than the left front spring, and only a dumb hillbilly would put a higher left front spring in. So that's what they mean by hillbilly in the front end. And what you're doing is that left front spring, there are times you will run that left front spring a little higher. And there's no way I can sit here and tell you when that time is, because there is no certain time that it is. There's the only time you're going to be able to do that is when you go out there and say, well, I wonder what a 375 spring will do here and with a 350 on the right. And go out there and see how it feels. I mean, always start with them even. On these short flat tracks, start with them even or with a 25-pound right front split and go from there. But that's the best I can tell you right there. There's no secret to it, man. It's just trial and error.